Hello, and you're listening to FPcast, the podcast for Fruitless Pursuits, where we bullshit about the week in pop culture. I'm Luke.
And I'm Jacinta.
And this week we're talking about...
Movies, television, collectibles, video games, comics, board games, and more.
Monkeys.
Fisting.
Both of them.
Not in the
related.
same. Not in the same film. I imagine there probably are films out there like that, but not that we have watched, or that we would admit to watching publicly.
Like Monkey Fister 3?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my favourite.
Yeah. No, it wasn't as solid as 2. Like, I felt like 2 really developed those characters in a satisfying way, but 3 just felt like a cash grab.
Dunstan checks in,
to your vagina.
And Fist the Bellhop. Yeah, they were all great. Remember when Thora Birch had monkey trouble?
Oh God.
Yeah. Fisting trouble. What a bad start, but how great that you have recovered. This is a miracle. Back from the brink of death.
The brink of death.
To be on the show again.
Yes.
Missed you last week. Everybody on Facebook was praying for you.
Yes, one pray, one like.
I know Jesus was keeping an eye out on that, seeing whether or not he would turn the tables, whether there was enough popular vote.
Yeah. I mean, because,
to overturn his decision to make you deathly ill. But no, thanks to modern medicine, advances in science, you are back and ready to talk some pop culture gubbins.
Absolutely, yes. I couldn't speak last week. That was most of the problem. Like, I couldn't speak for more than about a minute without coughing my lungs out. And that's, not, great for a podcast, I hear.
And then you've got to stuff them all back in to your mouth and push them all back into the right spots.
I know. It just takes too long.
And they would have fluff and Lego on them on this carpet, cat hair probably.
Yeah.
So, no, not worth the risk. Glad that you've recovered. Everybody's really excited. Just goes to prove something that I've always said, and that's that the power of prayer is indeed a very powerful, effective thing.
Absolutely.
It works.
Yes.
I prayed that I'd be watching a movie about a giant monkey this morning, going apeshit, and what happened? Exactly that.
That was a very useful use of your prayers, yeah. I mean, you could pray for hope, peace in Syria, but no, a big monkey movie. I mean, look, let's pray for attainable things, like easily attainable things.
Yeah. And because they put the trailers out so early, they're pretty safe bets to pray for those things. It would have to be a sort of day after tomorrow kind of Armageddon-y sort of situation to stop that movie from coming out.
Yeah. Did you pray that they were going to be showing a Michelle Dockery movie at the large commercial cinema that we attended today? Because that's the only explanation for the movie poster that we saw this morning.
I can't even remember what that movie was called.
No, neither can I, but it's like...
It was badly photoshopped.
I think the biggest star in it was maybe Jim Broadbent.
Okay.
And it definitely does not seem like the sort of movie that would be playing in a megaplex, but apparently it is.
You don't think they're queuing around the corner for the next Jim Broadbent joint?
I can't imagine so, no.
Not a lot of Jim Broadbent groupies.
Yeah, what would the fan group be called? Like the Broadbenders?
The Bent Broads?
Maybe, yeah.
Something like that. Doubt any of them go to the gym, though. Oh! I don't even know what that means. It was just a play on Jim. It sounded like a fat shame. But I don't know why fat people would be interested in Jim Broadbent. Maybe because he sounds like... I'm just digging this. I'm committing to digging this hole. And I'm going to curl up in it, and you can just put the dirt back over the top. Look,
I have given up.
No news today, and that's good news, because there were 5 trailers that we have to catch up on. Plus, we're going to review Skull Island. Plus, we're going to do a little bit of diversity talk. Review some diverse media from some world media. And then we're even going to weigh in on the beginning of Marvel's Iron Fist. So what a show this is promising to be.
Yeah, I hope it keeps its promises. I hope it's not one of those flaky people that promise things and then don't deliver.
Like when you got sick and didn't do the show.
Well, no, I never promised to do it. I said, hey, I'm not doing it.
If people went back to the archives, you went, like, see you next week, or something like that, really sincerely.
No. I said last week, or last time, that I probably shouldn't have done the show at all and should have been in bed. And I was probably going to die and not get to see the end of Goblin.
You could say
and
that.
I did get to see the end of Goblin, so everything's okay, guys.
You could say we couldn't have done the show and probably would have spent the time better in bed about any show that we've done.
That's fair.
That's a fair point. All right, so let's get into these trailers. Rough Night is the first one. And as soon as this broke, everybody was sending me links to it because this is a new Scarlett Johansson film. Also starring Kate McKinnon, who I also love, and Gillian Bell.
Yeah, she's cool.
Who I also love.
And Zoe Kravitz.
Who I could learn to love.
She's very cool. We saw her at she
Miley
supported Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen her perform in much. And one of the Broad City Broads.
Ilana.
I think it's Ilana.
Yeah.
Glazer.
Yeah. Told you how much I watch Broad City. Yeah, the curly haired one.
I watched Jim Broadbent City.
Oh.
It's really funny.
Good, yeah.
Especially when he stuffed the weed in his pussy. So we saw Rough Night. Now this looks to be a sort of Very Bad Things style movie where after a bachelorette party a stripper is killed. But role reversal. This is women killing a male stripper.
Equality.
And they've got to get that stiff, if you get my drift, on the move. They've got to do something with that body. This was the film that was originally called Rock That Body and has only recently been renamed Rough Night. So we got to see the trailer. What did you think?
Look, I won't say I didn't laugh a couple of times or I didn't find amusement, though I think the funniest thing was that obviously Kate McKinnon, she's playing an Australian character, and I feel like she watched a lot of Kath and Kim to really channel that accent, so it's a bit,
I got the link at work and I watched it with the sound down, like in the staff room, and I knew that she was supposed to be Australian, but I hadn't heard it. And I began to get very anxious about it because I think like an American playing Australian, and to be fair, there are plenty of Australians playing Americans, but not as a joke. And you think, well, there's got to be a reason why, and you imagine that they're going to devolve into stereotypes.
Well, they're going to make lots of jokes about Down Under.
Yeah.
Surely.
And there is a teaser poster for Kate McKinnon's character, which is just her dress with a sash, and she's got a Vegemite jar tucked into the sash, and it says the party down under, and that already alienated me. I just was like, fuck you, America, this is why the rest of the world doesn't like you very much, because what good is that for anyone? It just reinforces all bullshit, especially when you think about, like, you want to be topical about Vegemite in Australia right now. Every time I hear about it, it's people bitching on Facebook about it being not owned by Australia and being
halal.
Yeah.
I think it's probably always been halal, but people are more care about it now.
They're more racist emboldened now. To be racist now. Yeah, something like that.
I don't think it's been owned by Australia for a while. Dick Smith did a big campaign to get it back in Australia. It's like, I don't give a shit who owns it. It still tastes the same.
Didn't he bring out his own version called like Veggie Dick or Dick Mite or something?
Yeah, it was like Dick Mite or something.
Yeah, get your kids some Dick Mites.
Yeah,
I don't know why that didn't take off.
I want a yeast spread from Dick.
Yeah, Happy Yeaster. Remember that holiday? That didn't work out too well. So, yeah, but then upon actually listening to it, and there's only a few lines of dialogue, and I know there's some Australian media outlets that have said that Kate McKinnon's accent sucks. I think there are actually people that talk like that. I think it's a studied accent. It's not the Simpsons accent.
Oh, I mean, look, if you went to Queensland, you probably wouldn't have to walk around too long to find someone who spoke like that, no.
I'm sure there's going to be a reference to kangaroos or shrimps on Barbies or something like that, because I think writers... Doesn't it say something like, it's not the writers of Broad City? Does it say, and some Broad City writer or something, on a writer of Broad City? Something like that.
Oh, I just saw writer in Broad City, but there would have to be some... like really good reason that she's Australian, right? Because it's not like there's a lack, whether she just wanted to do it for fun, just to see if she could, or it's not like there's a lack of Australian actors in Hollywood. Like, you could walk into your local cafe and go, who's Australian? And 3 people have put their hands up with their fucking working there. So
it's a bit off-putting to me, that aspect, but not as bad in the trailer as I feared. And yeah, I didn't find it particularly funny. It seems like one of those generic office
Hangover-y,
Christmas party kind of comedy by committee, which I haven't actually looked up the writers, but I'm pretty sure it said a writer of Broad City, not the creators or writers of Broad City. And I mean, I love Broad City. I think that's very well written for the most part, but this doesn't look like anything special if that's what they put together to entice us. I was having a chat to a friend of the show, Paris, about it on the weekend, and there was this kind of idea of, it is really good to see women in those roles instead of men and to have that reversal, but at the same time, do you want to see women doing those movies from 10, 15 years ago, or do you want to see them moving forward and having their own
exactly
unique voice?
A dumb movie's a dumb movie no matter what gender you've got in those lead roles.
Yeah, so I don't know, but we've only seen a slither.
Yeah. Although I guess on the other hand, if there's a large amount of people who would go to see an easily accessible dumb comedy like this, and then, I guess on the plus side, is it better that they are seeing women in these roles instead? Sure, it's going to be a shitty movie, and I guess we'll probably see it. I don't really want to, but there'll be people wanting to watch a dumb comedy, and sure, it's better that they're seeing like Gillian Bell than fucking Seth Rogen.
It's a shame that there's nothing that suggests a great comedic performance from Scarlett in that. She looks to be very much playing the straight guy.
And it would be so hard for her surrounded by that level of comedians because everybody else is so strong. I don't know what Zoe Kravitz is like in comedy, but if you've got at least the Broad City girl Kate McKinnon and Gillian Bell, they're very solid.
And they all seem turned up a couple of notches. They seem to be playing really heightened characters where Scarlett doesn't. So I don't know, it's a shame. I would have liked to have seen her find something new there that we hadn't seen from her before. She tried to do a sort of comedic character in one of the Woody Allens. I think the one with, I want to say with Hugh Jackman, but I'm not sure. But it didn't work for me. So I was hoping to see her, get something a little bit different and have some more to do and not just play the kind of desirable one. But we shall see. Let's talk about Wonder Woman. So the new trailer for that, and it's been getting a lot of positive buzz. People like this trailer. I like the trailer. It's got a lot of great iconic imagery in there. Sorry, I forget that we're attached to each other by shared headphones and I keep moving around. But I want to play devil's advocate on this one a little bit. I just want to put this thought in people's head. I'm excited for Wonder Woman. I think it looks cool. I'm very keen to see it. But they're showing all this origin stuff, and I guarantee you they're going to nail that stuff. It's going to be awesome. Like, that first act, there's no way they should fuck that up. But that's all they're kind of showing us. What they're keeping under wraps is the villain and the villain's plot. And the villain and the villain's plot has been the downfall of every DC movie. They kept it hidden for Suicide Squad with very good reason, because it was the thing that really killed that film. We know that the villain is Ares. That's been the rumour, but we've not seen a single image of him or any other information. Why are they keeping that under wraps? I'm just wondering what they've got to hide, and I'm feeling like the actual plot is probably going to be something really comic booky and convoluted and DC-ish, just like the other things. And that was kind of the rumours that we were hearing early on from people that had been part of it, saying that it was just as convoluted as the other movies, and it was a bit of a mess. So I think they've always gotten the imagery correct. I think, Empire Magazine has got Gal Gadot on the cover as Wonder Woman. It's an amazing photo. I love it. And I think, the imagery looks great, but I think we're seeing all first act stuff. I'm only once bitten, twice shy after Suicide Squad, because I wanted to love the shit out of that. I love those trailers. I think it promises this really solid film and really interesting characters. But as soon as you know what Suicide Squad is actually about, the whole thing just starts crumbling around it. And, I'm like, what do they got to hide? Because, there could be this, we want to keep it hidden because it's going to be really great. But movies don't tend to do that, especially DC at the moment. They're desperate to get people in. If they have something great, I think they would show it.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that Marvel did that with Iron Man 3. They showed you nothing of that film, and a lot of it was that first act stuff. But Marvel's in a much stronger place than DC at the moment.
They
So
still set up even though that film has a twist, they still set up the conflict and the villain and what the issue was going to be, even though those goalposts change at one point. But, you don't have something like Age of Ultron and them not show Ultron or talk about Ultron. That's the central thing. Whereas this is just showing you that origin, which I imagine they will get right. But you look at a film like Captain America the First Avenger, which this looks quite similar to. That first half is really, really strong. That origin story, even though it's kind of a bit twee and cliche and of its time, it works.
Yeah.
And it's very coherent. It takes you on a sort of journey which you understand, you go through it, but then it gets to the actual conflict and the whole thing sort of, the second half's nowhere near as strong. Thor's the same to a degree. That beginning on Asgard, you go, yep, I get it. You follow through, and then the second half is just him wandering around a town. And then a robot shows up. So, you know what I mean? And I think there's something hidden there. I would love to be proven wrong. I'm excited about it regardless. But I would say let's be realistic based on the context of what we know. And if we temper our own expectations, we might have them blown away. Which would be wonderful.
Or at least be mildly pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Which is about as good as we can probably hope for.
And my feeling is, regardless of what happens, will be like after seeing Suicide Squad, where I feel like that didn't work for me, but I still love the pieces. I love the toys that they brought to the table. And I'm saying, okay, that didn't work, but try again. Learn from it and keep shaping it. And I think Wonder Woman was probably too far into production to really benefit from the feedback that they've had since then. Baby Driver, Edgar Wright's new film. Edgar Wright of all the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah.
And Scott Pilgrim is Baby Driver, which is the story of...
Baby Driver. It's like Baby Boss, but like he drives.
But he drives.
Yeah.
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 Alec Baldwin plays the baby driver because he's very good at playing babies. And, can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be great. So there are 2 trailers for this one. The first one that I saw was shit. It's like Baby Driver and his waitress girlfriend have to get away from some mobsters or something. It looked bad, right? And I was not impressed, even though this is Edgar Wright. And I'm sure in the end it'll be great, and he's just got everything up his sleeve and he doesn't want to show it in the trailer. But that was a bad trailer. The international trailer, however, has more music in it, and it seems more Edgar Wright-y, and that was slightly more interesting, but not thrilling for me at this point.
Yeah, I haven't seen the international one. I agree that the first one that was shown doesn't have that Edgar Wright push that makes me really interested. It's got a interesting cast, except for the titular Baby Driver.
Ansel Elgort. Like, if there is one person on this earth with a more punchable face, then I would like you to show me them, because
Lofi from Hunger Games. Josh Hutchins.
Oh, no,
I'd rather punch Josh Hutchins than Ansel Hutchinson. Well, that shows you how much I care.
Because you think his face would be softer and it would caress your fist.
And then we could have fist cookies.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have slightly more goodwill for Josh Hutcherson now. He's playing Denny.
No, that's
in The Disaster Artist. I think he might be a good guy. I feel like Ansel Elgort, he seems like kind of a douchebag, but I don't really know. Anyway.
Well, I think this is the movie that's going to give him a chance to switch that. I trust in Edgar Wright. And
absolutely.
The reviews coming out of South by Southwest are very positive. People are saying that it's great, that Kevin Spacey's great. So
I'm sure a lot of people said The World's End was really great too, though.
Yeah, they did, and I didn't love that.
Yeah.
I think Edgar Wright, and Scott Pilgrim's my favourite of his films, and it has the exact same problem as the other ones. I think he has real difficulty landing that third act. And he just doesn't know how to wrap things up and to finish them. They always feel belaboured. And World's End felt really belaboured for me.
Yeah, that was hard work. I think the only... the Scott Pilgrim, yes, is my favourite of his as well, followed by maybe Shaun of the Dead. Even, Hot Fuzz, which I did enjoy when I first saw it, but I couldn't imagine watching it again and having to get through that first 45 minutes or whatever it is to get to the action. So, I like Edgar Wright, but I'm not going to... be on the fandom train for everything that he brings out.
That said, to his credit, I saw a wonderful YouTube analysis showing Edgar Wright's editing techniques and ideas and ways of framing and filming comedy as opposed to your average sort of Apatow-esque American movie, which were very much get the actors in and a couple of cameras and then you've got room to improvise and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Edgar Wright is really thinking about how things enter the frame and exit the frame and how you compress storytelling or, highlight things. And I think, there's a lot of ingenuity there. So...
he's a really interesting filmmaker. And we'll go and see Baby Driver.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
especially if it's got a boss baby in it. He's adorable.
It'd be great. But could you imagine seeing this movie if it wasn't directed by Edgar Wright, based on that trailer?
No. And that is completely honest. If I didn't know that it was Edgar Wright and just saw that, I wouldn't be particularly moved.
No.
It didn't amp me up. Unlike Atomic Blonde. Now, this is a film by the director of John Wick, or one of the two directors of John Wick, who is also going to be directing Deadpool 2, I believe. It's pretty much a female blonde John Wick, played by Charlize Theron.
Yes.
And you'd heard about it. I think your response is pretty much the accurate one, because you'd heard that.
Yeah,
I heard the context.
A lot of people had been saying, it's John Wick with a lady. And I was like, well, look, we've been a bit harsh on John Wick for the fact of violence for violence sake. And I thought, well, if I'm watching this, it would be hypocritical of me to then watch this trailer and be like, it's okay if it's a woman. But I think the difference here is that, it's kind of John Wicky and that she, punches a lot of people and whatever. But there seems to be a plot.
I think it's a really well cut together trailer.
Oh, and it is a great trailer,
and the music, having Killer Queen in there and having her bashing in someone's head to a door to that beat. And again, some of the ingenuity and also just to cut away from that violence to a very understated John Goodman or...
and there's James McAvoy.
And what's his face?
Toby
Jones.
Toby Jones, yes.
Yeah, I think it's just a really effective trailer. It gets you pumped.
Yeah. And after seeing that trailer, I was like, oh, great. This is a movie I want to see. Compared to Baby Driver, this is a movie that I am excited to go and see.
There's something enjoyable about it too, and I think this is going to come up again in this podcast as we talk about Iron Fist, but... Obviously, a lot of these action things that you see in movies are very pretend. Like, when I see Vin Diesel doing action-y stuff, I think you're a stocky little potato. I don't believe you can really do these things. When I see Tom Cruise being, big action man, I don't believe that this little 5-foot guy running around tough-talking and punching everyone is realistic. And that's a big difference to when you watch something like a Donnie Yen film, where you go, this guy... probably could just kick everyone's ass.
Yes.
You feel that it's real. There are certain people that throw themselves in and you feel that it's real. And I felt that with Atomic Blonde. I watched that and I feel like she can really kick ass. She takes a punch in that early thing in the stairwell and it feels really real and it's a really visceral reaction too. She feels the pain of it.
Yeah.
And having just seen Skull Island and getting the Ghost in the Shell trailer, which I'm still excited about, that again has that level of Scarlet make-believe. Scarlet's too soft. It's I think she can be a convincing fantasy action person. But it's still make-believe. It doesn't have that visceral impact of something like the Atomic Blonde trailer. So... full credit to Charlize Theron because she is a badass. Even in that horrible Fate and the Furious trailer, Charlize has such presence.
And she has to kiss Vin Diesel.
I know. Can you imagine? That's so gross.
Literally, that trailer is before every fucking movie we see.
I can't stand it.
And we've seen it 1,000 times, and I still am a little bit disgusted every time she kisses him at the end. I'm just like, why, Charlize? How much danger money did you get?
How much mouthwash did you get? Gross. And finally, the trailer for Pixar's latest film, which will be released on Boxing Day here, and this is Coco, their Day of the Dead film, which, it's a beautiful trailer, beautifully put together. I certainly would not bet against Disney in this day and age.
Yeah.
It's just the only issue is, as you've pointed out, that
It's basically just the Book of Life.
yeah,
And I hope it's as good as or better than the Book of Life. I know a lot of people were not a huge fan of that, but
I didn't love it.
Yeah,
I love the design.
Yeah, you didn't like it heaps, but I really loved it. Even though there's a few quirky little weird bits in there that maybe didn't need to be. As a whole, I think it's a really beautiful, beautiful movie. And I don't want to accuse Pixar of ripping anything off because Day of the Dead is like, a thing, and it's not like Book of Life has exclusivity to Day of the Dead, but
And these production cycles are very, very long as well.
yeah, and I don't know, it just makes me want to watch Book of Life again. That's like that trailer, literally, I finished it and I went, man, I need to watch Book of Life again. That was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll be fantastic. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't pumped by that trailer.
I wasn't pumped by the Moana trailers, though, for example. I feel like I just have to trust that stuff these days. Remember there was that one Moana trailer that was just incomprehensible. It was just really weirdly
Some of the early ones were. There was a lot of Maui stuff. They were really trying to push Maui a
cut
lot.
together, and you were just like, what is this? I don't even follow this. But the film had so many great moments. I think, to their credit, they're just very good at making timeless films that very much exist in the world that they created. And, I can't imagine Boss Baby is timeless. I can't
It might be, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that people in the future will be like, oh, let's watch that classic Boss Baby. Because even just the values in it already feels like in Trump world to just be a really gross idea for a film. Like, I just go, fuck that character. Fuck that baby.
Oh,
I don't mean like that. I mean like with
some other different genre of movie.
I mean like with a claw hammer.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's how it
That's
ends.
another different type of genre of movie, I believe, probably too.
True. All right, shall we review a... Oh, God, this is slow. It's not just...
Movies.
Movie. Don't know what...
Movies.
Movies. Skull Island. King Kong. Skull Island? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Or Skull Island, King Kong?
No. Or is it just Kong, Skull Island?
Maybe it is Kong's.
Yeah.
Skull Island.
Yeah.
Colon. Colonoscopy Island?
Yeah. Maybe.
Starring Tom Hiddle, who notoriously
Whittled it. Did
did a whittle
a whittle.
in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Brie Larson, John C. Reilly, John Goodman,
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
All of these people
Jing Tian
heading
from Great Wall, who's so great.
heading out to the island where
To just look at stuff.
to look around and react to things. Yeah, what did you think of this?
All right, I'm going to start positively. I'm going to start with the things that I
Good.
liked about this film.
Okay, that sounds good.
This is a good-looking film. Like, it's just beautiful. I love the color palette. I love the very 70s feel. Having Vietnam 70s as the backdrop works really well for this film.
I've got a comment that just ties directly into that.
Okay.
I kind of agree, but it felt such a constructed 70s, like a 70s by committee to me. Like, oh, here's your afro wig, here's this, here's that. I kind of thought, wouldn't it have been nice if it actually, in a sort of throwback way, kind of looked and felt like a 70s film, but with modern effects? I just kind of wanted to see it through the lens of like a 70s film, in the same way that something like Stranger Things is an homage to the 80s and has that 80s feel.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of that color palette was that bit of it, was that throwback. Very muted, filmy kind of feeling to it.
It felt too slick for me a lot of the time, too glossy. Go on, please, continue.
Oh, may I?
Yes, please do.
Fine.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. For the most part, I did like it. And look, if on paper you had said to me, okay, so we're going to make this movie, it's going to be like the first half of Peter Jackson's King Kong, where they're on the island, but it's just going to be that first half, and you're going to have more time them wandering around the island and encountering different beasts and different things that are on the island. And on paper, I would go, fuck, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, because in truth, it would be the second act of King Kong. Peter Jackson King Kong, wouldn't it? Because that first act of King Kong Like, it takes them about an hour to get to the island.
It does. There's a lot of Jack Black talking about stuff.
And Cabin Boy, Jamie Bell,
Yeah.
you know, climbing the mizzen mast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just go, let's just do the island.
Yeah, because
Let's
that's
not
what
worry
people
about
love the island.
Twas Beauty Killed the Beast, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Let's
Yeah.
just get on the island. Explore the island.
Yeah, so on paper that sounds great, right? In reality, I didn't like it quite as much as I thought I was going to. And I worry that half of it is that I am a really, really big fan of Peter Jackson's Kong. Like, I love this movie. I have, like, the wettest statues from this movie in my house. Like, I really love it. And I wasn't expecting to kind of necessarily have the same, I guess, fondness or whatever for this, but I think my main issue with this one is obviously with Peter Jackson's, there's a structured story and they are getting from one place to another place and there's a drive in that film. This seems to be lacking quite a lot of drive. And, yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're wandering around and encountering these monsters, but it felt a bit like they were wandering around, like they were kind of aimlessly wandering around this island.
It needed a baby driver
Of course!
to come in
Damn it!
and be like, hello, I'm a little baby. Can I drive you to the north side of the island? Gaga goo goo. Like that.
Oh, I mean, that
would solve it. All right.
why don't we pitch that?
I was underwhelmed. And I've got a few things to raise.
Okay.
And please, you know, unlike with what just happened with you and I, you feel free to interject when I'm telling my bit.
Okay.
Because I value your opinion.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate being allowed to contribute.
Yabba, come on.
Don't try and sway me with fucking yabas. Keep talking. Oh, no. Get out.
Okay, so I think, I mean, it's poorly written. Like, the desire to make a King Kong movie seems to be what drove this. We've got to do a King Kong movie.
We've got to introduce this character.
They didn't have a story that they needed to tell because it is riddled with tropes and cliches that you've seen a billion times.
And the dialogue's pretty bad.
It is really
Like,
bad.
it's really not good.
Like, it's filler. Everybody's treading water. Like, the banter between the grunts. That thing about the bed.
Have you got a bed? Yeah, I got a bed. And that goes on for about a minute.
Yeah, it's just all filler. It's nothing. So you don't care about the characters at all. None of them are well put together. Hiddleston's just, I have an intense stare. Samuel L. Jackson is so like, we've got to kill this monkey for no reason other than that's what he has. He has to put up the opposition. And it dwells on things which are so obvious and sort of decisions and dilemmas that really we should be far ahead of by now. Like this whole, we've got to kill the monkey. No, I don't think we should. Maybe he's good. And then the camera like spends ages panning across their faces and the music's all tense like we're supposed to be invested in this. We know already that
They're not going to kill the monkey.
and then we're not supposed to kill the monkey.
Yeah.
So you need to find more than that. So, yeah, lots of cliches, lots of tropes, very bland. I didn't give a shit about any of the human characters at all. But I think the other problem is that Kong's not developed as a character enough. And I think what happens here is you've got a really clear separation. It's almost like two movies, and it comes down to the lack of human interaction with Kong. I respect that they don't go down the path of, I mean, they skirt the edge of it, but that Kong has the crush on the lady and has to interact that. But Brie Larson at one point, I don't think these are spoilers, puts a hand on Kong's face.
I think it might be in a trailer or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen it before.
That's the only time someone really interacts with Kong.
Yeah.
So I became very, very aware that you've got these actors, a lot of them who are far better than this material, basically just wandering around the jungle, reacting to things that aren't there. And then you've almost got this separate film on top of that, which is this animated Kong movie.
Yeah.
And the two barely intersect. So I just began to think, like, they could have shot this fucking thing in 2 weeks. This is just really... Everything is an after effect. Like, they just went down and they just wandered around for a bit. So it was very hard to get engaged in that sense. And I know a huge amount of what we watch is constructed and isn't really there. But you compare it even to something like a Star Wars film where at least you do have some sets and some vehicles and some robots and people are interacting with the aliens and the creatures and doing things. Whereas this, it's very hard for me to connect everything up in a meaningful way.
Yeah. The probably the most glaringly disappointing thing for me is that it starts off in a way that I quite liked with those two. They have two downed fighter pilots who crash on the island, one American and one Japanese, okay? And imagine that movie. Imagine the movie where it's those two in the 40s and they're having to reconcile their differences, navigate this island, and interact with the locals, understand about Kong. That's a better movie already.
It is, yeah.
And you get about 2 seconds of that storyline. I was like, no, give me more of that storyline and less of people, good-looking people in damp, tight T-shirts. Even though I appreciated the damp, tight T-shirts, don't get me wrong, but I want the Japanese-American fighter pilot story.
Do you notice when it gets to damp, tight T-shirt time, Hiddleston's nipples are poking out, but Brie Larson's aren't?
Oh, because she's wearing a bra.
I know, but, like, isn't that a nice table? Like, if this was made, 20 years earlier, that would be reversed.
The one thing that annoyed me about Brie Larson a little bit, like, if I was going into the jungle, I would take a hair tie with me. That's all I'm saying.
I think you've got to leave all that stuff behind, but the problem is that it is part of a bigger problem, and that is that everything does look so constructed. Like Hiddleston wearing the shirt with the gun holster straps, looking sort of Nathan Drake-y and everything. It all looks chosen by a costume department. There's nothing that feels lived in or real about this. Even when, Samuel L. Jackson goes to talk to John Goodman and there's an ammo crate there, which he goes and sits on, which is perfectly placed for them to have this conversation and for the camera to be framed. And it doesn't feel like this is the wreckage or of a helicopter crash, or it doesn't feel like this is a camp that's been set up. I can almost see the production assistant placing it and then moving it around, and that plagued the movie because I shouldn't be thinking about those things in a movie.
Yeah, the big moment for me is when they hand over some dog tags of some fallen soldiers who are meant to have died in this fiery burning crash, and they are pristine and they are perfect, and then they have their helmets, and their helmets for people who have died in fiery crashes are very clean and very perfect.
But the film's not set on any kind of rules. That's why I feel like it really was. They got these great actors. I'd love to know how long it shot for, and I'm sure that information could be Googled straight away. But, it felt like a lot of the decisions were after the fact. Even the fact that Kong is shown to, leave these giant footprints in the ground, but then he can sneak up on someone. He can just suddenly be behind you, even though you would think that leaving impact craters when you walk would make some sort of noise or some sort of ground tremor. When people do construction a block away, I feel my house move. So, I don't know. I mean, that's going 10 levels past the problem to a degree. But, yeah, you got interesting actors there. Tom Hiddleston still doesn't strike me as an action guy. Like, when he does have to suddenly be the action hero, he just doesn't nail it for me. He feels silly.
I didn't mind it for most of the movie. I think he started off okay. I really liked his introduction scene in that bar. I think the lighting and everything in that scene was very sort of evocative, and I was like, oh, okay, they've really got him going here. And then once he kind of gets to the island, it's a bit, I kind of not believing you now.
But it's funny that you even mentioned the lighting, because that was part of the beginning of me feeling that this was too constructed, because we don't normally talk about that. But that lighting is so overt in that scene. And it doesn't feel natural at all. It feels like if you panned right, there would be a red spotlight on what I mean?
They've got the blue gel to the left and the red gel to the right. Yeah.
And the whole film's like that, where nothing feels like a real place. So, they're lavish sets. Like, that set of the bar is fantastic, and all the people bustling around and everything. But, the movie needs to have characters that
Where you're concerned about their peril.
Or you just like them and give a shit about them in the same way that even with the Marvel films, you enjoy the banter, you enjoy the camaraderie, you're actually having genuine laughs and you're enjoying watching these characters hang around before Ultron comes in. In fact, it's probably even better. You know, the fact that Age of Ultron, you're enjoying the party is almost more fun than anything with Ultron in it.
Yeah.
Like, just because the characters are interesting and they're funny and they're real.
Yeah, I think
this didn't have that. You at least need someone to be as Indiana Jones presence and charming motherfucker in the center of this to make this work. Because even if it was just absolutely wonderful once they hit the island, what on earth would compel you to ever watch that first 20 minutes again?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing rewatchable about it. And it's a real shame because my hopes were all pinned on the fact that this was a legendary release. They did they did Godzilla, Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, which I really enjoyed. I still haven't seen it since, but I really did enjoy that. And I thought that was of a caliber that I wasn't anticipating. So I thought that this, and we'd seen similar imagery with the red sun and the silhouettes, and it had that kind of evocative nature, and I just didn't deliver it. Everything felt really hollow when you were actually watching it.
Yeah, and speaking of constructed stuff, it was legendary. They've popped... obviously, there's Chinese money in this movie, so they've kind of shoehorned Tianjin into this movie, and she has nothing to do. I felt it was very, very bad for her. She just sort of appears. After the rest of her team have already been kind of introduced, she turns up and then just sort of stands in the background for the rest of the movie, and it's like, oh, Christ.
Yeah, a lot of actors, you've got these great actors and they don't have anything to do.
I feel pretty bad for Toby Kebbell.
Yeah.
Like, what was he even to do?
And Hiddleston's almost got that Benedict problem that he has, I think, in the first act of Doctor Strange, where he's a serious actor. He really thinks about this stuff. He's trying to find something in it. And there's this level of focus and intensity that he has. Like, you know, when he's got the gun, he's got this really, he's dialed up more than everybody else. And it stands out. It looks weird. He's giving it this intensity that the rest of the film isn't meeting him at. The only person, I think, that manages to get that intensity up but not look foolish is John Goodman, which is testament to John Goodman, because he's one of those people that has been in a lot of great films, but a lot of really shitty films as well. And no matter how shitty the film, you never blame John Goodman. There's nothing where you go, oh, John Goodman was shit in that. Like, John Goodman is completely foolproof no matter what he's in. And that's why he continues to work all the time. So, yeah. And then he was wasted as well, I think. But, yeah. So, did not love it at all. I thought it was disappointing.
I wouldn't completely discourage people from seeing it, though. I think there's enough interesting stuff in there that if the trailer does interest you and you like the idea of a big monkey movie where he's smashing helicopters and cracking dinosaur skulls, then yeah, you go and see it. We're not saying that it's a complete pile of shit and you should avoid it completely. Just saying that maybe we were a little bit disappointed and it maybe didn't live up to the excitement of that trailer.
I think if you're not seeing a movie every week, then save yourself.
I don't know.
I just think you've seen it a billion times before and you've seen it done better. I think, a lot of people hated Jackson's Kong, but you can draw direct parallels to lots of different aspects of this film to that film. Whether it's like the gross insect scene to the gross insect scene in this. The Jackson one is so far superior.
It is, yeah.
Or the fighting the T-Rexes in the Jackson. Just the creativity in those scenes and that sort of Looney Tunes nature that happens with them swinging on the vines in the chasm and stuff compared to these characters that just sort of slap together and wrestle in this film.
The T-Rex fight is incredibly satisfying in the Jackson film, and the big dinosaur fighty thing in this is just not.
Plus, Jackson builds Kong as a character. He makes you have empathy for Kong. And I don't feel this does at all.
No.
It never finds that time to make him a real creature that we care about. And his motivations are incredibly unclear, really. Like, especially when you go into that third act. Everything he does is because the story requires him to, not because it's anything that's been established in terms of his character. He pendulums in that film from, I've got to save these precious humans, to I'm going to kill all these precious humans. And it's just whatever the story needs him to do at the time. So I thought it was a bit bum. I would give it like a...
I'd go 3.
No, I'm not up there. I'm 2.5.
Oh, okay.
2.5's my medium one. I mean, look, I could give it a 2.5, like right down the middle, but then at the same time, I would never watch it again. And I just think it's so, like, it's such a throwback, not in terms of its look and everything, but just its characters and storytelling. It feels like one of those, films we dredge through from the past, and we got to be better than that now. Like, there's got to be more. Got to be more to life than this, King Kong.
And there is an after credits scene which gets completely spoiled in the credits because they say the characters are property of whoever, and you're like, oh, okay, so they're the characters that are going to be in the post credits scene. Okay, great, thanks.
At least fucking Guardians of the Galaxy show Howard the Duck and then go, Steve Gerber created Howard the Duck as an additional credit afterwards.
Yeah.
Fuckers. Okay, so my quick world cinema review is I finally got to see last year's Shin Godzilla. And I've been excited about this. It was one of the biggest films from last year that we missed that I felt like I wanted to see.
I think it only showed here for like a week or 2 weeks or something tiny.
And part of me was excited because I'm thinking, oh, this is Japanese Godzilla. I'm going to get to skip all the boring stuff and get to really pile on the mythology. But of course, this is a reboot. It's an origin story. So it very much is characters going, what's this thing? I think there's something attacking. Let's try and find out more about it.
What are we going to do?
So no Mothra or anything cool like that. It is just about Godzilla. But it's fun. I enjoyed it. I was entertained. But I was a little bit disappointed. I expected a little bit more from it. The Godzilla parts are really great. He evolves throughout it. So at the beginning, he's a Derposaurus, which I thought was funny. But quite similar, actually, to my criticism of Skull Island. It feels like two separate movies where maybe even like 60-70% of this film is characters from governments and various departments trying to solve the problem, which is interesting, but that has a almost documentary style, handheld, we're in an office camera feel, and that feels very different to shots of Godzilla using atomic breath on the city. And you spend a lot of time in meeting rooms and not enough time blowing stuff up.
Yeah.
So it was good, but too many meetings to the point where they're even like, oh, we're in this room and we've just got this information. Let's all go and talk about this in the such and such room. And then they go into the such and such room and they start talking, and then someone else just goes, we've just found this. Let's all adjourn to the something else room. And then they go to a different room and you're like, hang on, like everybody's just moving from room to room to talk about these problems. So... I'm glad I saw it, and I would be very keen to see what they do next because, and maybe it's inspired me to watch some of those crazier ones which have more of that stuff, but then I feel like it would be hard to go back to lesser production values because I did enjoy the Godzilla stuff, and some of it's CGI, some of it's animatronic, and it's really quite cool. He definitely has a presence, and he's also very much the bad guy and the threat. It's not about him coming in to bash some other nondescript monster. So, and just intense. I love the acting, and I think we've talked about this before, that idea of, if you're angry, if you're upset, be angry and be upset. There's not a lot of subtlety to it. Like, there's a general at one point that is... And look, there is a greater subtext as well, which is basically about them wanting to drop nuclear bombs on Tokyo to destroy. And Tokyo, obviously, Japan is very sensitive about that idea and would not like to see such a thing happen, considering what they've been through.
Yeah.
And there's a general that, slams his fist on the table and is almost in tears suddenly, just out of zero to tears.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's too much. And you're like, yeah, okay. But then you're like, well, no, this is what this dude's feeling. So, let it out, buddy. Let it out, brother. Just because you're a general doesn't mean...
doesn't make you not a human.
Yeah, it's exactly
You're feeling
right.
feelings.
So, fun, but and very gifable. I went looking for gifts afterwards because I liked seeing the little Derposaurus run around. He was awesome. And what did you see?
Well, I had a couple of days off work as well. Hopped up on codeine and cold and flu medication.
Well, you
so
were at death's door.
I was at death's door. I don't think I watched anything in English for about 2 weeks. I was starting to worry that I would forget how to speak in English and the podcast would just have to go under, or you would all have to learn Korean. I watched a movie from last year called A Man and a Woman, which that's a terrible title, I do understand, but actually not a bad movie.
It's descriptive. Did it have a man and a woman?
It did have
in it?
it was about a man and a woman. So, maybe it wasn't lost in translation. Maybe it was just, they were being very just straight down the line. It's a Korean movie. I did worry that, once I got into this Korean area, I was not going to get back out again. I mean, I have to go through North Korea to get back to China.
Well,
it's very hard. So I'm just going to stay in South Korea at the moment. It's the story of a man and a woman who meet they're like in Finland or something. They some sort of snowy European place, and they both have special needs kids, and they're at this kind of special school or camp or something for their kids, and they meet in this foreign country, and they sort of connect and kind of have one night of passion, and then go, well, okay, look, this is this is it. This was at the time and place. We're both married, so we're gonna not worry about this again. They kind of run into each other back in Korea.
Oh, can I guess?
Yes.
So she's pregnant, and this kid is special needs squared. So he's like a super being.
No.
Okay.
It's not a supernatural movie.
All right.
And
just a guess.
They stop derailing my shit, and they run into each other again, and then realize that perhaps their kind of moment of excitement and passion was something that they feel like maybe they're lacking in their normal lives, and do they want to continue? And it's all about sort of choices, and are you going to be selfish and sort of go, you know what, I need fulfillment in my life too, or do you have your duty and loyalty to your family and all of that sort of thing? And it was actually really good. I'd been watching a whole lot of K-dramas in which all the characters are complete fucking cartoon characters and just over the top and crazy, and it was really nice to see a really emotive, nicely written, nicely directed film with very good acting. I was actually really surprised to learn that I think as the writer and the director is a man, because the way this female character was written was really good, actually. I looked up his Wikipedia page, and apparently that's the thing that he's known for having very strong female characters in all his movies. So I'm very interested to see the rest of his work. But
some
yeah,
of us are very in tune with women and their needs, their desires. So it's not unusual. Well, is it a recent film?
Last year.
Last year. Okay, so 2016, and that is called Special Squared.
Why do you ruin everything?
So that's my superpower. Speaking of ruining everything.
Oh.
Let's talk television. I've watched half of Netflix's Iron Fist.
I've watched 2 episodes.
So this is that goes Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and then the final defender is Iron Fist.
The Fist.
The big old fister.
Time to get fisted, dickheads.
He's Finn Jones.
Sir Loras from Game of Thrones.
And he's got a yellow light up fist because he focuses his chi. And he's been to Kunlan. And that's like a mystical dimension
through
place.
A portal. It only opens up every 15 years, conveniently.
Years, and he came back knowing Kung Fu, and he's the immortal Iron Fist. And he's like a heir to the Rand fortune, and there's a building, and David Wenham, old Wenno, mate.
God, Wenno.
Bloody Wenno's up there in the building, and he's a bit of a baddie, and they're all tied up with all sorts of gubbins. The end. And what did you think of Iron Fist?
Oh, look, I went in with a pretty open mind. I know a lot of people were going about like racism and all that sort of stuff. I think we've all learnt a valuable lesson that we need to consume media before we critique it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And that is important. So
don't just get onto the headlines.
Yes.
Like actually find out the context of what you're complaining about.
Yes. So I watched Iron Fist, And I think I laughed more than I was supposed to during Iron Fist, which doesn't bode well for Iron Fist.
It's a bit silly at times.
It's very silly.
He has the sort of wide-eyed, gormless enthusiasm of Buddy the Elf at the beginning, where he just doesn't know how the world works, even though he's lived in it for quite a bit of time before he went away. And, it's just a show that it's not terrible, but it's very bland. We talked about a lack of driver. Pull up the Baby Driver to this one, because it needs something to keep it going. Halfway through, and I don't feel any more enlightened than I was at the beginning. And there's just so many things to kind of make fun of or question or...
Yeah, I think in a weird way, like I had the similar sort of problem with Luke Cage. Like that just lost my interest after about 5 episodes and I couldn't go back to it. This is shit. Like this is pretty lame. There's not a lot that really keeping me excited, but the fact that it is so lame, and I know that if I just watch that next episode, there's going to be some other stupid thing to laugh at or make fun of or something like that, which, you know, again, bodes very badly for the show, but that's kind of where I'm getting my entertainment out of it at the moment.
Luke Cage is definitely stronger, in my opinion. It has a lot more style, and I think this is the problem with this. It just doesn't know what it wants to be. Like, Daredevil was so bleak, and that character is just so determined, regardless of whether he should continue to be determined or not, or what's going around. And that's a character that is just intent on barreling from A to B. And this, like, has no real momentum because you don't give a shit about the bad guys. He's, like, a bit of a dork.
Have they clarified? I mean, I'm only 2 episodes in. Have they clarified why David Wenham's...
Yes,
okay.
yeah. But it's all messy. Nothing's particularly satisfying. There aren't any big cliffhangers, and it just moves at a really slow pace.
And speaking of David Wenham, when Danny Rand goes first into the Rand building and is watching that catch-up video, basically, and they had Wenno and the other guy, I thought they were supposed to be brothers because they only look about 10 years apart. But then they're like, oh no, this is this guy's dad. And I'm like, what? Who the fuck cast this? Like, who's making that decision?
Oh, no, that makes sense.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll talk to you about that after.
Okay, because actually just looking at those 2 people, it makes no sense for them to be father and son. Anyway, and the other thing about...
Oh, no, they're not father and son. They were just business partners, right?
No. He's calling him Dad.
Which 2 people?
David Wenham and
Ward.
Ward.
Oh, I thought you meant the 2 people in the video, like Iron Fist, Danny's dad, and Wenno.
Oh, I couldn't... Oh, I thought it was just Ward.
Ward, no.
Oh, okay.
Ward's the son of the guy in the video.
Yeah.
Ward is David Wenham's son.
Yeah.
And Danny Rand's son is the other guy in the video.
Danny Rand's dad.
Danny Rand's dad is the other guy in the video.
All right.
Yeah.
I just saw a white guy with dark hair. They all look the same to me.
Yeah.
But no, Ward and David Wenham do not look far enough apart. Unless he was 10 when he had him.
Oh, no, there is a reason for that.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Not that I care enough to keep watching. Another thing with casting is I don't think casting an Asian person in this show would have helped it at all. Still would have been shit.
Nah, and like part of it is the fact that Danny's just such a dumbass, and that you're like, Danny's like, I'm the Immortal Fist. I come from the land of make-believe. And everybody's like, yeah, as if, Danny, pull the other one, you dickhead. You know, he really is like Buddy talking about Santa and elves and candy canes.
Yeah.
So...
His Iron Fist is fairly well regarded as being a pretty lame character anyway, right?
Well, Iron Fist comes out of the 70s Bruce Lee kind of kung fu phase. Where everybody's like, yay, this is awesome. And it's Marvel's response to let's do something that's also kung fu. And let's make it like a white kid. So everyone goes, yeah, that could be me. I could be the best. But there are plenty of Asian people in the show. But in the same way that Daredevil... And I'll never forget that comment about Daredevil Season 2, where they're like, imagine it was set in Japan and the bad guys are Americans and they were all cowboys. It's a very similar
Yeah.
thing with the ninjas and
Yeah.
all that sort of nonsense. So it's hard to take particularly seriously. And Weno is not going to be remembered in the long line of Marvel villains because, it's just fucking
he's no
Weno,
Wilson
isn't it?
Fisk. Yeah.
No, that's right. Wilson Fist. Am I right? The only thing I'll say about it, and it really directionless, but I did notice that green and yellow, and we've seen no indication that he's going to be popping out his suit anytime soon, but green and yellow is all over this production. Whereas, like, Ward's sister, is it Josie or Joy?
Joy.
I've watched so many of these, you'd think I would know. She wears green and yellow early on, which sort of makes you subconsciously go, oh, she's friendly to him. She's a safe place. And the green and yellow lighting constantly at night, like, you're always getting that reminder of the palette of the character to the point where it's kind of distracting at times. But,
I think my favourite scene was the hobo Google party in the park.
Well, this is the thing. Like, Danny Rand has clearly shat his pants. He's walking around in the shittiest pair of pants. They're just covered in shit, and he just can't understand. Even though he lived for, 12 years or something in the real world with an incredibly wealthy father, just can't understand why no one will take him seriously when he's, dropped one in his Dax. He's got khaki Dax. Of course you got kicked out of the fucking place. The funny thing as well is it takes him about 4 episodes to convince someone, I'm Danny Rand. And then another character, he convinces them in 30 seconds. Just by giving them information. Oh, I know this. And they go, oh, okay, you are Danny
He comes
Rand.
back.
And I'm like, why didn't you do that at the beginning of episode 1?
He comes back and the guy's like, oh my god, we have internet now. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they had internet 15 fucking years ago, you dummy. Anyway.
He talks about being a kid in the early 2000s. I'm just like, you're such a baby. Such a baby, Danny Rand. I just like him flipping over that taxi. That
That was
mid-conversation too. Danny Rand, just poof, off he goes.
Christ. Yeah, I think that was the moment that I went, look, you know what? I think this has gone beyond a line where I think I can legitimately enjoy this show.
It'd be great recut with the Full House laugh track, I think. What do you think about Finn Jones? Does he make you Danny Randy?
No, he's gross.
Jackie Danny Randy?
No, and that's the thing. I think Finn Jones is quite cute, but I can't even look at him in this. He looks fucking rank.
Do you buy him as a fighter?
No.
Yeah.
No, even the first combat scene they have, it's even compared to Daredevil, the fight scenes in Daredevil are so dynamic and cool, and in this it's just there's a white guy kicking some people. It was really just not convincing, not dynamic, and I just was not into it. And when he spoke Mandarin, I laughed out loud. It was fucking terrible.
Well, even the opening titles are kind of telling because, you look at the Daredevil ones and it's about Daredevil, it's about blood, it's about the streets, it's about darkness, it's about justice and the scales of justice and good versus evil and the darkness creeping over him and the violence seeping through him. And this one's I'm aimlessly kicking shadows for a minute, still going. And then it's at the end, the character's just sort of dizzy going, look at all the fucking shadows I kicked everywhere. It's a big fairy floss of them.
Yeah.
That's cotton candy to you, America. I know you're very confused by your own ignorance.
So I'm not really inspired to go back, I have to say. I'll probably watch a couple more, but there's so many other shows that I would rather be watching than fucking Iron Fist.
I'll probably do it because I've done all the others and I'm doing enough sort of projects that I can just have it on in the background and absorb it. But if I wasn't doing something else that was, keeping my mind going, I couldn't just sit and watch this. I would have given up.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's just kind of Netflix in the background, an episode ends and the new one kicks off and it just all rolls forward.
Yeah, I'm sure that by the time the Defenders come around, if there's anything I need to know, I can just Google it.
Well, that's it. You're not going to need to know. And this is the problem. And I said this with the...
Because they're all going to be just fighting the hand in the end, aren't they?
Well, fucking probably. But I said this with the Punisher. You have characters that are not complicated characters. Their motivations and their backstories are very, very simple. And the comics probably did all that work in a page or two. So you get what Iron Fist is about very quickly just from the promo materials, and it's kind of laborious to watch all the characters fill in that information over multiple hours. And you know, the Punisher that they did in Daredevil was the highlight. He was a great Punisher, but it was the same thing. You're about 3 hours in and they're like, oh, but hang on, his family were killed, that's why he does this. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we don't need to spend time overcomplicating these really simple things. I want that feeling. Like, if this was a Netflix show about Iron Fist and I got to know everything I needed to know about Iron Fist in the first one, this is where he comes from, this is what he does. And then each episode, or maybe double episode or whatever, was a series of adventures and things and different villains and different scenarios and him going out and being hero for hire or working with Luke Cage in an episode or whatever. Great, I would love that, but I know that's not going to happen. I know this is going to be 13 hours of just dredging through the setup. And that's too long for what the source material is. So
Yeah, and I think all the Marvel series do suffer from that. They do not need to be 13 episodes.
no.
Even Jessica Jones, which I loved, they could have trimmed some shit out of that.
Yeah, it dips for a couple of episodes, for sure. But I mean, when you think about well, you just have to look back and go, well, where do I find those memorable scenes? Like, what do I think of? And there's fights in Daredevil, there's moments in Daredevil that I remember. There's certainly moments in Jessica Jones where I go, oh, that was just such a great idea, or that was a really tense moment. After 6 hours of Iron Fist, I don't have one of those. I've got a couple of moments where I thought were unintentionally funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luke Cage has moments that I really loved as well and that I remember. So, you know, it's problematic. And that's part of everything we've spoken about today. It's the same criticism I would level at Skull Island. At the end of the day, I come out of it and go, well, yeah, what's the scene that I'm going to go, oh, do you remember that? That was really awesome. I don't think there was any, really. Whereas Peter Jackson's, even though I've only seen it that once, there are some scenes which are very vividly in my head.
Yep.
I also remember being, like, pretty fucking bored in that first act of Peter Jackson's one, you know? Like, it's not a perfect film, but it's so much better. In this commentator's opinion, anyway. So, stick that in your hot dog and tell all your friends about it.
Yeah, though I do implore people to watch Iron Fist before bitching about it on the internet, but that's not going to stop anybody. I've seen a lot of threads on Facebook groups about people proudly proclaiming how they're not going to watch Iron Fist.
Well, it's like to boycott it or...
Yeah, it's like, congratulations. Like, what do you want people to say? Like, are you...
Old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to watch it, because I've watched some of it, and I was bored by it.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. Again, it's ice cream flavours, isn't it? There are plenty of... And that's the thing. Like, that's why you've got to... If you're worried about diversity, you have to take on board some of that as well. Like, rather than go, I want this one thing that I'm interested in to solve all those problems because I'm not going to watch anything else diverse. Because, actually, you do have other options. You can watch other things.
Yeah, I got an email from Netflix yesterday, and I thought, it was like, oh, this show's come up that you might like. And I was like, oh, they're just going to tell me that Iron Fist is on. And instead of that, hang on, let me find my email.
Do you want me to vamp?
Oh, no, here we go. Okay, we added a TV show you might like. I opened it thinking, oh, it's going to be Iron Fist. And no, it's called Samurai Gourmet. Recent retiree Takeshi rediscovers his passion for food and life by getting in touch with his inner warrior and eating what he truly desires.
Pussy.
Thanks, Netflix.
Great.
I know. I'm like, Netflix is like going, no, you know what? I'm not going to give you the fucking Iron Fist. I'm going to give you a weird Japanese movie about a man who eats.
The algorithms work. Brilliant. All right. I think that's our show.
That is our show.
I think that's what you get.
Yeah.
You know, next week is Oz Comic Con. We're going to be there for that. And Beauty and the Beast opens.
Yeah.
We can finally talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it with you. And Oz Comic Con is shaping up to be something.
if that something is a bit of a fizzler. I think
They've
that
just announced DJ Qualls.
DJ Qualls.
Now, I was like, who's DJ Qualls? So I looked it up, and he's the McLovin from Road Trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many people do you think in Perth, especially considering that it's quite young, generally, the audience of Comic-Con, are itching to pay $40 to see DJ Qualls?
Probably no one.
Probably not enough to facilitate
Flying him out
lines
and paying him.
and photos for
Yeah.
about, a 24-hour period.
Yes.
So, yeah, I hope he's got a lot of data on his phone because he's going to be playing some games, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it will still be fun. There'll still be all the activities on the con floor and that sort of thing. It's just their guests this year, maybe not so good. Their biggest ones, they've got Arthur Darvill from Doctor Who. They've got Melissa Joan Hart, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and is it Brent Spiner or Brett Spiner? Brent. So
Data.
Data's coming.
Kick my ass after the Star Trek Nemesis book was better.
Yeah, and
We got Dante from Clerks.
oh yeah, but like, they're doing like a special event screening of Clerks with those guys.
I saw that.
And as of yesterday, I don't think they'd sold enough tickets, so I think it was going to have to be cancelled.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, so it's like, fuck.
I
If
love-
that's an indication of how many people don't really give a shit.
I love Clerks. Like, I think Clerks is fantastic, but I'm also 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know, I saw it at the cinema and I loved it. And there's not a lot of young people that I know that would know about it or care about it. And again, certainly not enough to pay a premium to meet people that are in a black and white indie movie from 20 odd years ago.
Yeah, and Supernova are making Oz Comic Con look pretty bad in the last couple of weeks. For us, they announced we're getting Millie Bobby Brown, which, gets the current crowd, and Dean Cain for the old people like me. I'm very excited about Dean Cain.
And Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, and Christopher Lloyd. He has been before, though.
And the
From
other...
Melbourne, fucking they're getting Natalie Dormer.
Yeah, I'm jealous about that.
Oh!
Well, David Harbour's from Stranger Things is coming along with 11, and he was the
Yeah.
one that was most recently said to have read for Cable.
Oh, okay.
So if he gets cast, he'll cancel, and then she'll cancel.
Yeah, maybe. I think Melbourne are also getting Angel from Buffy, which I'm fucking filthy about.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Filthy.
Well, we could make a trip.
We could, but then they'd probably both cancel.
True.
Aren't they the same weekend as Oz Comic Con? Anyway.
Nah,
We're
nah.
not going over to Melbourne to go to a fucking convention.
They're in April.
Okay.
But I want to see Natalie Dormer,
Yeah.
because she looks like Lola Bunny. And I like her. The end. So thanks for listening, everybody. You know, good on you for
Toughing it out.
toughing it out.
Wouldn't have been, mostly negative today.
We have been pretty negative today, but
we're sorry.
we tell the truth.
Yeah, we do.
That's always been the thing.
Maybe we should curate our truths
No,
a
but
bit better sometimes.
we tell the truth after doing the work.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
We
There's a
consume the
context.
media before we critique
We
it.
did it. We had a look. We gave it a try. We're giving it a go, and we're being truthful.
What more can you ask
And I'm
for?
not saying like, oh my god, this is a piece of shit. I just wish I could have that 6 hours back. I'm just saying, like,
Kong just ruined my fucking
it's just
childhood.
bland.
Yeah.
It's just bland. You know, there's better out there, but that's the service that we provide. Now you'll be able to make informed decisions based on what you like, and whether you want to take that risk or not.
Though it does infuriate me that there'll be a lot of people going to see Kong that wouldn't have spent the money to go see Great Wall, so fuck you all. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, a Great Wall is better just in terms of the ideas it has. It has more interesting ideas. So there you go.
Yeah,
And no one did a piddle in the middle of the night either.
exactly.
So that's something. Pedro might have. I don't know. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Go to fruitlesspursuits.com to find out everything else we're doing. Special treat now that Jacinta is back from the dead. We're going to do a book was better this week as well. We're going to do Ghost in the Darkness, which is not about a ghost. It's about a lion.
It is.
Yep.
Yep.
Was that Tim Roth in that as well?
No, that's Heart of Darkness, I think. Isn't he in Heart of Darkness?
It's Val Kilmer and who else?
I don't know. Isn't it, I want to say
Michael Douglas. Yeah.
I went to the cinema and saw
I
that.
did too. Just crazy what people would see before everything was a blockbuster.
I was just a young girl deeply in love with Val Kilmer, so it didn't matter what he was doing. I think I saw Island of Dr. Moreau at the cinema.
I did too. So look, if you want to hear that saucy story, then download that tomorrow. And Patreon, iTunes, rate, review, talk to us on our Facebook. I've just run out of steam. Fuck it, do what you want. Camelot.
Camelot.